of what we've already talked about for the explosion injuries or the refinery injuries, or this can be any kind of industrial injury.
Yes. Okay. So here's a question for today's legal asked on question. Um, okay. So you were injured at work, a refinery, and the first thing that comes to your mind is, it's my employer's fault. I can go after them, and because it's maybe, a big refinery or a big employer, you're thinking this is going to be good. I mean, I'm injured, I'm going to go after my employer. But really it's more technical than or a lot more complicated than that simple. Or
Yeah, it's not that
it's not that
simple.
simple. There you
Yeah,
go.
it's
See,
not that
I'm even
simple.
complicating what I'm trying to say.
Well, it's true.
So explain it for us.
Well, things were a lot different back in the 80s and before that for workers' compensation, and you actually had a fair chance of getting what you deserved if you were an injured worker. They changed the law, of course, in favor of the employers. So now they do have workers' compensation, which is required for a lot of different companies. There are some exceptions, but most companies do have that, especially for work type injury companies, refineries, warehouses, those kind of industrial complexes. So
Mm-hmm.
there's usually workers' comp, which is great. I mean, it sounds so wonderful because you have a lifetime of medical benefits. Well, the problem is that in my opinion, in my experience, is they if you're injured and then you go back to work and you start to feel bad maybe 2 years from now or whatever it is, they're going to say you injured it doing something else. They're going to find a way to take something away from you. And then as far as actual money, while you're out of work, you're only getting paid a percentage of your average weekly wage, and it's just not real. It's not fair to the
Well,
employee at all.
the saddest thing is that people don't find out about this until they're in that situation. A lot of the times they think, oh well, my employer has workers' compensation, then I should be able to continue getting a paycheck. But it's not that simple. Oh my gosh, we've had clients who've waited months for a paycheck, and it was only a
It's
percentage.
it's very red tape oriented, and we don't do workers' comp, but we want you to call us and we will find somebody for you. We have several that we work with that my clients have done very well with,
Mm-hmm.
but it's a lot of red tape. It's a lot of jumping through the hoops. It's a lot of knowing you're going to get denied for your medical
Yes.
treatment, but you have to appeal it. It's just you have to go through all these hoops
Yeah.
to make it work.
Yep. Make sure that if you get a denial letter from workers' compensation, don't stop there. There is a way to appeal it, and hopefully, they will actually, grant you, what you deserve and the benefit that you need at the time of need.
And we have, not to go into specifics and not to mention anything specifically, but we have somebody right now that's been out of work for a long time.
Yes.
It was a car accident related case where she was working at the time of the wreck, and so it's been a whole total nightmare for this
Yes.
person who has no money coming in, and
She,
she is definitely uh, in need of that, and it's not fair and it's not right. And what is being said as the reason for denial is something that by law should not be argued at all. But because of that particular situation, it is a little bit unique to her. It's like a closed system. It's like getting you know it's like a rubber stamp. It's just going to be approved or this way or that way because it's all. There's nobody fighting on one side. It's all. I mean, on two sides. It's always on one side.
mm-hmm.
So it's very difficult. But I don't want to get back over to this for a minute. So we talked about the workers' comp, and that's going against your own employer. Now there are some exceptions. When there's some really gross negligence, there may be exceptions about actually suing your employer. But most cases, the workers' comp is going to keep you from doing that. Okay? The way we get involved and the way we do our cases is there may be workers' comp, like this, for example, a car wreck case where you're driving but you're working for somebody and then
Mm-hmm.
you're rear-ended, then you should have workers' comp. And also you would have a right to collect from the people behind you that hit you, okay? So that's what we're dealing with. We deal with the third party. So let's say it's a refinery situation.
Okay.
Let's say that you work for one company and you go out to unload some pipe from a truck,
Okay.
and the person who brings the pipe just cuts the rope or whatever and just lets the pipes fall down,
Okay.
and it breaks your foot. In that case, you would have workers' compensation through your own employer
Because
because
you were working at the time,
exactly, and you'd also have a claim against the other company who the employee was that brought the pipe in.
making the delivery.
Exactly. If it's the same employee, same
Employer.
company, like same employer that you have, then that's not going to work.
Mm-mm.
Okay. So what we're talking about is a situation where you have more than one employer,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what a lot of these refinery cases actually end up being. Is that they look at responsibility, and yes, a lot of the people who work at these refineries are contractors.
That's right.
And so there are a lot of different contractors out there, and maybe the situation that happened was due to faulty equipment. Maybe it's really old equipment. We all talked about before how the refineries surely favor profit over people, that they don't want to shut down the units.
Production, yeah.
It costs them a lot of money.
Yeah.
So don't just give up. It's a tough situation. We want you to call us if you have a question. We've answered some of these questions in a previous video, but definitely, and in our newsletter, we had a great article on third-party injuries. So be sure to follow up on that. But if you have a question, give us a call. If it's just a workers' comp case, that's fine too. We'll still try to help you get to the right person.
Right.
Okay, to help.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you have an accident, and it involved not only maybe your own company, but there's another company who is also involved, then that's something like, for example, where you will want to talk to Dawn about actually representing you for like a personal injury kind of case. So make sure that if you are in doubt, call us.
Yeah.
Find out, get to the bottom of it. It's always better to know.
Yeah, it's not like we're going to charge you to call us.
Exactly.
So
it's a free.
It's
a
free.
phone
So
call.
you can come in and talk to us or call us or whatever you want to do. All right, so I think that's it for today. So
Yes.
next month is trucking accidents.